Most guys are doing too much in the gym and it's killing their progress. If you want an attractive physique, then you can't be wasting your energy doing things that don't help. I'm going to give you the complete minimalist method, the exact structure, the principles, everything that you need to build a sexy V-taper physique without wasting any time. If you train in the way that I'm going to show you in this video, then you'll be able to build a way more attractive physique than everybody else with less time spent in the gym and do it faster as well. Now, most guys in the gym are doing way too much volume when it comes to lifting weights. They'll be doing 15 plus reps per set. Then they'll be doing 4 to 5 sets per exercise. Then they'll be doing multiple exercises for the same muscle group. Then they'll be doing multiple muscle groups in the same session. Then they'll be doing multiple sessions per week. And when you combine all of those together, you can see how much time and effort has to go into the gym. And yet most people are still not getting the results that they want with their physique. People do this because they're quite afraid of not doing enough. They think that more work means more results, but the body doesn't think that. They also see everyone else doing the same thing, so they're just following the crowd really. I mean, even the big guys, the guys who have more muscle than them, are doing the same thing, but they don't take into account that a lot of those guys who are big are on steroids, so it doesn't really matter what they do, they're going to grow regardless. The real results of high volume, especially for naturals, is constant soreness, constant fatigue. They can't bring maximum intensity to their sessions because their body is never recovered enough to do so. And as a result, their physique will stay average for months, for years, despite all the effort, despite all the time, despite all the exercises they're doing. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you've been going to the gym for a while, I'm sure you've seen some people there who've been going for at least as long as you, and they're looking the exact same. I can guarantee you they're doing high volume. Doing too much prevents intensity, and intensity is key for driving muscle growth. And when it comes to building an attractive physique specifically, you need to have intense sets on the muscles that actually build the V-taper, the lats, the shoulders, the upper chest. If you can't put all of your effort into these exercises that are going to train them, then you won't be able to start to build a good looking physique. You'll be stuck. You'll be stuck spinning your wheels like everyone else is. I did high volume for my first few months in the gym because I was a beginner. I didn't know any better. And I made some progress for a while, doing 6 or 7 days a week in the gym, loads of sets, loads of reps, loads of exercises. And then my progress stopped. It stalled. I burned out completely, stopped making progress, and I had to kind of figure out what was going on. I just started training. I can't have maxed out my gains already, right? And no, the issue was that I was under recovered. I was doing too much, not allowing my body enough time to recover. So I stopped doing the high volume. I decreased, like most people think, okay, I have to increase, but no, I researched it properly and I thought I'm going to decrease what I'm doing and I'm going to bring more intensity. And I started training till failure. I started doing like 2 sets per muscle group, per exercise even. So like 4 sets a week or something. And I started to make rapid progress. In fact, I started to make better progress doing low volume than high volume. And I thought, this has to be a cheat code. I'm spending a third of the time every week that I was in the gym before. I'm making better progress, and in 4 months I got a way better physique than pretty much most people that I saw in the gym. So the principle that you need to follow in the gym is low volume and high intensity. You choose 1 exercise per muscle group. So for example, if your preferred exercise for the lats is the lat pull down, like mine is, you choose the lat pull down and then you do 2 sets until failure for that exercise. So you do 2 sets until the point that you cannot lift the weight anymore with good form. 0 reps in reserve, and that's a skill you have to develop. And that's it for the session, for that muscle. That's it, just 2 sets until failure with 1 exercise. Doing low volume and high intensity like this is going to give you a very good muscle growth stimulus, but for minimum fatigue. Muscle growth comes from stimulus and recovery. It doesn't come from volume. It doesn't come from obliterating a muscle. It comes from doing what's necessary to drive the muscle growth adaptations and then recovering fully from it so that you can do it again. There's obviously actual scientific drivers behind muscle growth, like mechanical tension and multi-unit recruitment, which you can research if you want, but realistically you don't need to know all that. You just need to know how to train hard and how to recover well, and you'll get the best results. Even just 1 hard set where you're training till failure is going to give you a better muscle growth stimulus than some random guy who's doing like 3 sets but he's not really taking himself to his limit at all. Now, you can't get too carried away with this and do like 100 100 sets until failure, because physically that isn't possible, and you'll also incur too much fatigue. So the reason why I only said do 2 sets until failure per muscle is because this is a good stimulus to fatigue ratio. Basically, every set that you do until failure in a session is less effective than the last one. So if you do 1 set until failure for your biceps, for example, the second set that you do will be about half as effective as that. And then if you went ahead and did a 3rd set, that would be about half as effective as the second one. Now, the reason why I don't just do like 6 or 7 sets to basically max out and squeeze all the juice I can out of the muscle is because you still incur the same amount of fatigue with every set until failure. So first set is gonna incur a certain amount of fatigue, and then the second one is gonna be the same amount of fatigue, even though the muscle growth that you're getting is only like half as much as the first set, right? So basically you want to find a balance where you can get a good muscle growth stimulus for that muscle in a session, but not do too much where you can't recover from it in time for the next session. And I found that 2 sets just works perfectly for that. Now, you've heard me talk about training until failure plenty of times, and that's because this is one of the most crucial parts of building a good physique. If you can't bring that intensity to your sessions and to your sets, you're not going to build the type of physique that you want. Now, training until failure is when you cannot do any more reps with good form. So we're not swinging the weight around using loads of momentum or getting someone to assist to go past failure. All of that is useless and just brings extra fatigue. But what we are doing is training until the point where the rep speed slows down so much and you cannot do another rep. Once you're a bit experienced, you can actually just stop at the point where you know that you won't get another rep. But if you've got like less than 12 months of training until failure, then it's quite important, I think, to get to that point where you actually cannot lift the weight anymore, like you're struggling and it doesn't just lift anymore. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be hard, it's going to be uncomfortable, you're going to have to suffer a little bit for the physique that you want. But as someone who has the physique that most people don't, I can tell you from my experience that it's worth it. It is worth struggling on those sets and those reps. It is worth doing. Now, most guys in the gym finish their set when they feel uncomfortable. The point where they feel uncomfortable, that's when they finish their set. But in reality, especially if you've never taken yourself to your limits before, the point where you think you're uncomfortable, you have another 5 or 6 reps left, seriously. So you really have to get into the type of mindset where you're willing to take yourself to those limits so that you can actually achieve the physique that you want. A lot of guys also confuse muscular fatigue with intensity because they're doing high rep sets, they're doing 15, 20, 25 reps. And that burning feeling that they get in the muscles when they're doing those high rep sets, that's got nothing to do with muscle growth. That's just lactate buildup. That doesn't produce muscle growth adaptations whatsoever. It's only the last 5 reps in a set until failure that starts to produce that stimulus for muscle growth. But a lot of those guys will be doing sets of like 15, 20 reps, and they'll reach those not the last few reps, but say the last 5 or 6 reps, and the burning will kick in, and that's when they'll stop because they're afraid of the discomfort. But it's only once you push till failure that you actually reach the muscle growth properly. So in order to bypass that, basically, I always recommend my clients to do low reps, to do 4 to 8 reps. That's the maximum reps that I'll do personally as well. I'll do 8 reps, and then once I reach 8 reps with a specific weight, I'll just increase the weight, take me back down to 4 or 5, and that's how I'll progressive overload. Once you start doing your sets like this, every single set is going to be effective. Every single set will be productive. It will be there for a reason. Most people, like 2/3 of their workout is junk volume. It's not doing anything. So you need to be the type of guy where you go into the gym and everything that you do is effective. Everything is for a purpose. It's structured and it's there for a reason, and it's getting you the results that you want. In order to build an attractive physique, you need to prioritize the muscles that contribute to the V-taper, that make you have a nice shoulder to waist ratio. So the lats, the shoulders, and the upper chest, you have to put those exercises first in your session. So for example, my session, I'll do a lat pull down first, 2 sets. Then I'll do a shoulder press, 2 sets. Then I'll do a lateral raise. Then I'll do a Smith machine incline bench press. Then I'll do a face pull, and then I'll do an upper back row, or I'll swap those 2 around actually. That's my upper body session. And then for my lower body, I'm going to do my biceps first, bicep curl, tricep extension, then leg extension, hamstring curl, and hip adductor. So I'm only doing 5 or 6 exercises per session, and I'm only doing 2 sets per exercise, which is only 1 exercise for a muscle group. So in a week, 4 sets. per muscle. And a lot of people think that's ridiculously low. And it is low, but it's not ridiculous. It's actually the best thing that you can do. And once you start training with proper intensity, good form, good exercise selection, and you're taking it serious, you know, some people I see in the gym, they're doing leg extensions and they're on their phone at the same time. They're scrolling TikTok. Like, it's insane. Once you can like completely detach from everything else, and the only thing that you're focused on is the specific rep, and then you take that specific, you do the reps until failure, and you do that every single set, every single workout for a long time, it's impossible to not get an amazing body. I do every single set within the 4 to 8 rep range, and the exercise doesn't matter. It's always 4 to 8 reps. And that's because, like I said, it's the only last 5 reps or so that actually contribute to muscle growth. So it doesn't make sense in terms of time efficiency to do 15 reps or 20 reps to get the same result. And another thing with doing high reps is high volume, and you're going to incur more fatigue. If you're doing more reps, your brain has to keep firing those neurons to lift the weights over and over, and you're going to get more fatigued. Fatigue is not just in your muscles, by the way, it's in your brain as well. So for that reason, the exercises that you do last, like towards the end of your session, they're going to be less effective, even if you're training till failure, than the ones you do first. That's why you prioritize the muscles that are most effective for creating the V-taper, the lats, the shoulders, the upper chest. You always put them first in your session. In order to be fully recovered in between your sets, you need to be resting 3 minutes. Don't make the mistake of resting 1 minute or 30 seconds like other people do. This is not cardio. This is strength training. This is weightlifting. You rest for an adequate amount of time, especially since you're lifting heavy weights and you're lifting until failure. That's more taxing. Most people are just, like I said, they're going through the motions. You know, do 15 reps nice and easy, put the weight down, rest 30 seconds, scroll TikTok, pick the weight back up. You're not doing that shit, right? You need to train properly to get the results. So rest adequately so that your mind can recover, so that your muscles can recover, so that the ATP, which is the energy that your muscles use to do high intensity resistance activities, even sprinting and stuff, right? That can recover also. And then every set that you do, you'll be as fresh as you possibly can, and you can actually give the proper effort. Now, because you're training properly, you're going to start to see progressive overload, and this is where you're getting stronger. You're either doing the same amount of weight, but you're doing more reps, or you're doing a higher weight. And this is really what we're hunting. This is the North Star. This is the sole purpose, basically, of going to the gym, to build a good physique. Obviously, the physique is the goal, the attractive physique. But in order to build the muscle, to develop that physique, you need to be getting stronger. So practically, say you're doing 225 pounds on the incline Smith machine bench press, and you can do this for 5 reps at the moment, theoretically. Let's say the next session, you're training till failure, right? So naturally, you're going to increase. You're not forcing extra reps. It's just going to happen because you're training until failure. So next session, you get 6 reps. Then the session after that, you get 7. Then after that, you get 8. Now, 8 is the top of the rep range. That's the maximum reps that I do. That's the maximum reps that I give my clients to do. So once you reach 8 reps, that's when you increase the weight. So instead of doing 225, you do 230. You increase by the smallest increment possible so that you can basically guarantee that you can do enough reps. Because if you try to increase by, say, 40 pounds or something, well, you're not going to even be able to do 4 reps, which is the lowest amount of reps that you should do. So just increase small and steady and keep doing this. And you treat your sets separately. So if you are doing 225 pounds for 8 reps, then the next session you go to 230, right? But if on your second set you're doing 225 for 6, then you keep it at 225. And you basically just keep doing this with both of your sets over and over, and eventually you're not doing 225, you're doing 275 and 300 and so on, right? You basically reach your potential this way. Every single session where you go into the gym, you pull out your program, your structure, whatever you have to do to track your progress, right? You can use an app called Strong, STRONG, and put all your exercises there. So your intention is to get better, is to do better than you did last time. So you look at your numbers, you see, okay, I got 6 reps on the incline bench for 225. This session, I'm gonna get 7. And maybe you won't get 7, maybe you still get 6, but the intention has to be there. If you're training properly, every week you will be seeing progress at the minimum. And if you're new to the gym, then every session you'll basically be seeing progress. This is absolutely mandatory. You need to know your numbers so that you can improve them. If you are going into the gym and you only have a vague idea of the weight that you used and the amount of reps that you did, you're going to stall. You're going to massively limit your progress, honestly. You need to know what you have done last time so that you can improve it. Every single session you're improving, even by a tiny amount. Even if it's just 1 rep on 1 exercise, that's improvement. You need to be doing that and seeking repeating that every single time. Over some time, this progressive overload is really what's going to build your physique. It might not seem like much, just one rep here and there, but over the weeks and the months and the years, these really add up and create an amazing result. I remember when I was doing like 20 pounds on each side for incline Smith, and now, a few years later, I'm doing 120 pounds on each side. And it's literally just the one rep that I added every session and every week consistently that led to that result and led to the physique. So you really have to take this serious. Now, that's basically everything that you need to do inside the gym. So now it's more about structuring it so that you don't overtrain. Because even if you do everything perfectly, if you do it too much, you don't get better results, you get worse results, and you eventually get no results. So in order to not overtrain, you do these things 4 times a week. So upper lower split. You train your upper body on Monday, then you train your lower body on Tuesday, then you rest, and then on Thursday you train your upper body again, and on Friday you train your lower body again, and then you rest on the weekend. So in total, you're going to the gym 4 times a week to lift weights, and you're training each muscle group twice a week, upper day, lower day. Training more frequently than this is not going to lead to better muscle growth. It's going to lead to worse muscle growth because you'll overtrain, you'll do too much, and then your body won't be able to recover, and then your progress will stop or go back, even worst case. And then training less frequently than this is going to basically leave gains on the table. It's going to leave muscle growth on the table. So twice a week per muscle is basically perfect in order to stimulate the maximum amount of muscle growth, but then still have enough days to recover. On your rest days, you don't have to do anything. And in fact, you shouldn't do anything because we want to maximize recovery. So just do your steps. That's basically it. 10,000, I do 15,000. If you really want to go to the gym, then go do steps in the gym, go walk on the treadmill, do incline walking at most. So that's it really. Get good sleep, eat right, eat the same thing as well. We're not overloading calories on rest days. Just eat the same thing as you eat every day, and that will work well. And you'll feel the urge to add more. You'll want to do more than 2 sets. You'll want to do more than 4 days a week in the gym. But just believe me, from experience and from training clients, you don't need more. And in fact, more is going to get you worse results. It's quite a backwards thing to wrap your head around, because more people think, okay, the more I do, the more I get, because that's the way it works with a lot of things. But your body doesn't work like that. When it comes to building muscle, the more you do, if you overshoot past your limit, past your recovery capacity, the less you get. You get worse results. You can't recover for the next session, which means you don't get the maximum stimulus that you could have got for that session. And if you keep doing this, then eventually you get to a point where you're not getting anything at all. That's the worst point to get to. Imagine putting in so much effort, so much time, so much energy into the gym, and you're not getting anything from it. The way you completely get rid of this possibility is by doing only what you can recover from. 2 sets until failure, I promise it works wonders. Keep doing this and you're gonna see how good your muscle growth can get. This style of training has never done me wrong. It's never done my clients wrong. It only delivers exceptional results because it really works. You put in that effort for the short time that you're there, and then you get the maximum results out of it. You don't want to be that guy that goes to the gym for 2 hours just to say he's been to the gym, but his physique doesn't look like he's been to the gym. You don't want to be that person. Put in the effort, get the quality out of your sessions, and you're gonna see how good your physique can improve. You get in and out of the gym, you're not wasting time, and you've got the sexy physique that everyone wants. If you want more help from me to build an attractive physique, then check the top link in the description. Thanks for watching.